simplify. So here we're going to have to use a couple of exponent laws. The first exponent law that we're going to use is going to be the quotient rule. So the quotient rule tells us that when we have like bases in division, we can subtract the exponent in the denominator from the exponent in the numerator. So that'll go for the x and y variables inside the brackets. Then we can also perform a simple numerical simplification between the negative 128 and the 2. So we can divide both of those by 2. So that'll look like this. We'll have negative 64 times x to the power of 12 minus 3 times y to the power of negative 3 minus 9. And all of this is still raised to the external power of negative 1/3. So let's continue to simplify in the brackets for now. We'll have negative 64 times x to the power of 9 times y to the power of negative 12. And again, that's all raised to the power of negative 1/3. So now we can apply this exponent of negative 1/3 to each of these. So remember, this exponent law tells us that when we have an exponent being applied to a term that already has an exponent, the two exponents multiply together. So the negative 64 will become negative 64 to the power of negative 1/3. X to the power 9 is going to be x to the power of 9 times negative 1/3. And y to the power negative 12 will be y to the power negative 12 times negative 1/3. So right off the bat, we can simplify the negative 64 a little bit. So we'll have negative 64 in the denominator, since this exponent is negative. So we'll take the reciprocal of negative 64. So we'll have negative 64 in the denominator raised to the power of 1/3 times x to the power of negative 3, since 9 times negative 1/3 is negative 3. That'll be times y to the power of positive 4, since negative 12 times negative 1/3 is positive 4. So that means that the x is also going to end up in the denominator. So we'll have, maybe I'll do this over here so that we have enough room. We'll have y to the power of 4, since the y stays in the numerator, it has a positive exponent, divided by negative 64 to the power of 1/3, which is the same as the cube root of negative 64. So remember, when converting from exponential to radical form, the denominator of the fractional exponent is the index of our radical, and the numerator is the power that our radical is being raised to, and raising to the power of 1 is implied even if you don't write it. So we don't have to write that 1 anywhere, although we could if we wanted to, we could write it right there. And then we'll also have x to the power 3 in the denominator. So we got rid of the negative by moving the variable to the denominator. So now we have y to the power of 4 over the cube root of negative 64 to the power 1. The cube root of negative 64 is negative 4. We have y to the power 4 over negative 4x cubed, and then we can just move this negative into the numerator. So we'll have negative y to the power 4 over 4x cubed. That's the final answer for this problem.